by the time 4 guys in black shirts that said Lakeside HOA Enforcement marched onto my land with crowbars in their hands. I already had every second of their little operation recorded, every fake notice scanned, every threat backed up in 3 different places. And the sheriff was less than a minute out. So when they told me they were authorized to tear down my fence, I just looked at them and thought, you boys picked the wrong clipboard queen to believe in. My name is Holden Merrick. I am 39. Spent 11 years in Army EOD, and these days I get paid to measure dirt water and property lines for a living, which is a polite way of saying I know exactly where the boundaries are, and I don't rattle easy when someone waves paper in my face. After years of deployments and cheap rentals, and landlords who thought no pets, no noise, no life, all I wanted was a quiet piece of land that was mine. No board, no committee, no newsletter about mailbox height. That place was 2 acres of overgrown woods and lakefront in Henderson County, sitting just outside a pocket neighborhood called Lakeside Estates. 4 big glass houses with perfect lawns, matching mailboxes, and a swan logo on a stone sign, like they thought they were a country club. But the county records were clear. My parcel was separate, surveyed decades earlier. 0. HOA 0 covenants. Exactly the kind of freedom I had promised myself. First week, I was out there with my GPS unit staking corners, picturing a small cabin by the water, when a black SUV swung onto the access road like it owned the dust. It kicked up, door flung open, before the engine even died, and out stepped this woman. In white pants, pastel blouse, expensive sunglasses, clipboard tucked under her arm like a badge. She walked straight across my property, heels punching holes in soft ground, and snapped, "You can't be out here doing grading without HOA approval." I looked up, calm. "Afternoon. This is my land." She didn't even look at the stakes. "I'm Cordelia Hargrove, president of the Lakeside Estates HOA. Everything within 150 feet of the lake falls under our jurisdiction. Any construction requires a $5,000 application and review fee." She shoved a violation notice at me. Swan logo, bold red text, fake legalese thick enough to choke on. I pulled out my phone, slow, made sure the red light was on. "Just so you know, Cordelia, I'm recording this." She snapped, "You can't record me without my permission." I said, "North Carolina is one-party consent. I'm one party. You're standing on my property threatening me with fees you have no authority to charge, so yeah, I'm recording." That little flicker in her eyes when she realized I knew the law. I clocked it. Then came the line that told me exactly who she was. "If you think you can ignore our rules, you'll find it very difficult to live here." That "our" hung in the air like a bad smell. I didn't yell. I just said, "Your rules stop where my deed starts," and watched her march back to her SUV, slam the door, and tear out like the gravel owed her money. Next morning, I pulled up, and my gate trees and even my survey stakes were plastered with paper. "Cease and desist legal action pending. Daily fines starting at $500, jumping to $2,000. All with that swan logo and something they called Lakeside HOA Enforcement Division. I took photos of everything, close-ups, wide shots, timestamps, GPS habit, drilled into me from years of writing incident reports that couldn't afford to be wrong. I checked the North Carolina Secretary of State site. No such registered HOA under that name. No corporation. Nothing, just 4 houses playing pretend. I called the county clerk, gave her my parcel number, heard her keyboard clacking, and she said, "You're clear, Mr. Merrick. Your lot is not part of any HOA. If someone is claiming that they're mistaken at best." I hung up, knowing it wasn't a mistake. A few days later, Cordelia came back with a big guy in a polo shirt that said, HOA Security, trying very hard to look official, the two of them standing at my gate like a low-budget TV show. You're conducting unauthorized grading, she said, holding her clipboard like a sword. We have photographic evidence you need to stop immediately, or the HOA will proceed with legal remedies. I had a body cam on by then, clipped to my collar. Protected by what authority? I asked. I've confirmed with the county my land is not in your HOA. Your organization isn't even registered with the state. What you're handing me looks a lot like a fake legal notice and a demand for money. The security guy stepped up, puffing. If you don't comply, we can escort you off until this is resolved. I just looked at him. You set 1 foot past that stake and you're trespassing, and we both know that shirt doesn't come with arrest powers. He hesitated. Looked at her. She doubled down. Talking about community standards and precedent. And I remember thinking, you have no idea how badly you just chose your target. I told them both to leave my property. They did eventually, with more threats about making things difficult, and that should have been the end. It wasn't. I had to leave town for 3 days on a watershed project. So before I left, I mounted motion-activated cameras on trees, locked the gate with a heavy-duty lock posted. No trespassing signs with statute numbers. Standard precautions. Nothing dramatic. On day 3, my phone buzzed with a motion alert. I opened the feed in my truck. Silver pickup at my gate. 2 guys hop out bolt cutters on my lock drive-in like they own it. Plant a bright orange stake marked HOA boundary right in the middle of my clearing. Take photos, drive out never bothering to close the gate. No logo on the shirts, no badges. Nothing legit. I drove back that night, found everything exactly like the video, and didn't touch a thing. Deputy Walsh came out, watched the footage twice, took notes, wrote up a trespass report. Pretty clear, he said. We'll run the plate. That's when something in me clicked from annoyed to done. I hired a licensed surveyor from out of town. No personal connection told him to run the line based on recorded plats. When the results came back, I laid the map over an aerial photo and started to laugh, went cruel. Just that tired laugh you let out when the universe hands you a plot twist. Cordelia had been treating a strip of land as her backyard that wasn't hers. The true property line cut straight through a slice of her perfect lawn, clipped the edge of her patio, and ran under the corner of her shed. She'd been encroaching for years. So I did it the right way. I took the survey to the county, got a building permit for a 6-foot cedar fence exactly on the legal boundary. That night I called her with the recorder running. Cordelia, this is Holden. Tomorrow I'm putting a fence on the surveyed property line. If you or anyone acting for you interferes, it's going straight to the sheriff and my attorney. She snapped, You can't build a fence through my yard. I said, Through what exactly? Silence. Then the call dropped. That was all the confession I needed. The crew rolled in at sunrise. We walked the line with the official markers set string where the survey showed. At about 7:40 here, she comes across the grass. No heels, this time, still full of certainty. Stop. That fence is going in my yard. This is my property. The foreman looked at me. I handed over a copy of the survey and my permit. Your deed ends here, I said, pointing. Everything past this is mine or county easement. She crumpled the paper. I've mowed this for 15 years. My realtor said this was all ours. I shrugged. Realtors sell the dream. Surveyors draw the line. She went straight to 911, told them I was stealing her land. Sheriff Brennan showed up. Pulled up the county GIS, matched it to my survey, walked the line, then turned to her and said flat, Ma'am, this fence is on Mr. Merrick's property. Your HOA has no jurisdiction over his parcel." The look on her face was not confusion. It was humiliation. For a second, I almost felt bad. But then I remembered the fake fines taped to my trees. The fence went up board by board, cutting through the fantasy border she'd sold herself. And if her story had ended with that reality check, we wouldn't be talking. That night around 11:10, everything in my cabin went dark. No storm, no flicker, just dead. I grabbed my flashlight, walked the perimeter, found the power panel box forced open, lock twisted off. Checked the cameras. There she was. Cordelia in dark clothes glancing over her shoulder, jamming a crowbar into the panel, flipping the main, scurrying back toward her house. 10 minutes later, Mr. HOA security shows up, looks in the box like he's inspecting their work. I saved the clips, called the sheriff. Walsh came back out, took one look and said, "Yeah, that's criminal tampering." Next morning, there was a plastic-sleeved document jammed under a fence post, a fake, revised version of my building permit, with the property lines altered, stamped with a knockoff county seal. The clerk at the building office almost laughed, then said, "This is forgery. Turn that in." My attorney Donovan saw everything and said, "Just keep doing what you're doing. No yelling, no threats, just evidence. Let her show the court who she is." Which brings us to the morning those 4 enforcement guys rolled up. They came in formation, black cargo pants, boots, shirts with Lakeside HOA enforcement across the back, trying to look like a SWAT team from a discount catalog. I hit my body cam, raised my phone. The oldest one called out, "Mr. Merrick, we're authorized to remove that illegal fence." "Step aside," I asked. "You got a court order?" He lifted his clipboard. "We have an order signed by the HOA president." I let that sit a second. "That's not a judge. This is private property. You touch that fence, it's felony vandalism on camera. You have 60 seconds to get back in your trucks." One of the younger guys snorted, stepped forward with his crowbar. Up on the hill behind them, Cordelia was filming with her phone, smiling. "Do what you're authorized to do," she shouted. "I'll handle any legal issues." And right there in one sentence, she tied herself to all of it. I started counting out loud, calm. 60, 59, 58. At around 40, sirens came up the access road, 3 units lights bouncing off cedar boards and fake uniforms. Sheriff Brennan stepped out, took in the scene. "Who's in charge here?" Clipboard guy raised his hand. Brennan skimmed their order, looked bored. "This isn't a lawful document. You don't have a permit. You don't have a court order. And you're on someone else's property. You have 60 seconds to leave or we'll be discussing charges." They folded quick, mumbling, "She told us it was legit," backing toward their trucks. Then Brennan turned to Cordelia. "Ms. Hargrove, come down here." She came down already talking. "Sheriff, they're acting under my authority. He's damaging property values. He's antagonizing the whole community." He cut through it. "Ma'am, you've been warned your HOA has no jurisdiction over this parcel. We have reports of trespass, forged documents, tampering with utilities, hiring unlicensed individuals to remove a lawful structure. This is no longer an HOA dispute. This is criminal." She tried to talk over him, stepped into his space, grabbed at his paperwork. "You can't talk to me like that. I'm the HOA president. You're letting him ruin everything." Brennan's voice went flat. "Ma'am, do not interfere with my investigation." She kept going. That was it. He turned her around, pulled out the cuffs. "Cordelia Ann Hargrove, You're under arrest for obstruction of justice with additional charges pending." She lost it, shouting that she was protecting the neighborhood, that I was dangerous, that everyone would regret this, while her neighbors watched from their decks, seeing maybe for the first time the person they'd let run their little kingdom. Weeks later, I sat in a courtroom while the DA laid out the timeline: fake violation notices, bogus fines, trespass with video, tampering with my power-forged permit, the fake enforcement squad. Cordelia's lawyer called it overzealous community leadership. The judge called it probable cause on every count. And the plea deal left her with fines, probation, restitution, a permanent no-contact order, and felonies that would follow her longer than any fence line. People ask if it felt good watching her led away, if I built that fence to get revenge. The truth is, I didn't need revenge. I needed a line that meant something. I was tired of people like her assuming the quiet guy standing there alone would fold the second someone important raised their voice. You know what I mean. I didn't scream. I didn't throw punches. I just refused to lie about what was mine, and I let the system see exactly what she did when nobody stopped her. In the end, that fence didn't just mark my property. It marked the difference between pretend power and real law. So now I'm curious what you think. At what point does protecting property values turn into straight-up bullying? How much fake authority do we let people swing around before we push back? And have you ever had to deal with a neighbor or an HOA or a boss who thought a title made them untouchable? Tell me in the comments whose side you're on, what you would have done in my place, and if you've seen this kind of thing play out in real life. Hit like if you think boundaries still matter. Share this with someone. Fighting their own little tyrant, and subscribe if you want more stories, where the rules finally catch up with the people who think they're above them.